Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Billy O here, coming to you from Palm Desert, California, where a lot of old people live. This is Hun's Oldcast, Season 6, Episode 1 for June 15th, 2025. Got some great guests here today. We got champions from Saturday's Bloodfest, Corey Jones, captain of the Huns Premier side, and Khalid Cannon, captain and organizer of the Put Me In Huns side that won the Open Division. Guys, how's it going?
Pretty good. Good to be here, Billy.
How you
Yeah,
doing,
yeah,
Corey?
feeling great. Yeah, man, I'm doing good. Body's feeling good after the tournament.
Corey, that's a great shirt hat combination. I mean, I'm a little jealous. What the hell's going on there?
Yeah, this actually came from ABW, Austin Beer Works, which is one of the leading sponsors for the Huns. They had a high five competition. Whoever could give the highest high five on this billboard with a little bit of paint on your hand, you won. And I touched a 10-6. So the
That's not a
size.
fair. That's not a fair. That's not a fair competition, Corey. So congratulations. You wouldn't have made any money betting on Corey to win that competition. All right, folks, starting out with some breaking news. First, two things here. Matt, Doormat Mitchell, his wife did all the work. They had a baby yesterday on Father's Day 2025. Max Philip Mitchell, 9 pounds, 5 ounces. If that's not a prop to be, I don't know what is. Congratulations, Matt and Ashley. Matt has the patience of Job with all of us, and I'm sure he's going to be a great dad. The other two things that are just out of sight is of the six finals spots in the three top men's competition, the Huns had four teams in the finals and walked away with all three championships, if I'm not mistaken. We didn't win the Super Social, but Khalid and Put Me In, made up of Huns reprobates that probably can't make practice, won the Open Division. And Corey, we'll talk about it in a minute, but avenged the Premier side, avenged a pool play loss to the Blacks and won in front of the home crowd after a thunderstorm delay. So that's the breaking news today. And, Khalid, we're going to let you go first. Why don't you talk a little bit for us about this team you put together and uh, about what Put Me In's all about. Just give us a primer on both those things.
Absolutely. I can start with Put Me In and then talk about the origin story for this team. Yeah, so everyone, I'm the president and chief program officer here at Put Me In, and we help kids with parents in prison play sports. We do that by giving them $1,000 a year in financial aid that goes towards registration fees, equipment, and travel. And as pretty much anyone here who has played rugby for the Huns, like how special that community can be. And for us, what we're trying to recreate is for building those communities for kids across the country. So we're currently helping about 135 kids in 15 states across the country and give them the opportunity where they can be surrounded by mentors through sports where for me, it's kind of almost recreating the path that I had as a kid. Like my dad was incarcerated when I was pretty young. And if it wasn't for my youth football coaches or youth baseball coaches, then who knows where I'd be today. And so for us, it's a really special org that we've been growing for about 5 years. There's a ton of Huns that have been supporting us since our launch. And so super thankful for how amazing this community has been. And first, one correction for Billy O's early intro is that Biff was actually our captain. Biff is one of those stalwart Huns who's been here since I've been here, or since long before I've been a Hun. And Biff was also one of the very first guys that started supporting Put Me In when I took over full time in 2022. And so Biff's always coming to me when at training and asking about some of the kids in the program and other ways that he can support and help us grow our impact. And I believe back in February, he came to me with the idea of, we've got all these guys that play Bloodfest every year, but that's their only sevens tournament. We come in, we show up, and the sevens coaches kind of shoo us off into the corner. anyways, because like we don't want to disrupt the ones and the two sides that actually have all this chemistry they've been building throughout the year and throughout the summer to actually chase trophies. And so we're like, let's put together a fun team of guys that want to compete, not get pushed into social, but want to compete for the Huns, play at the level that we're used to, but also represent something bigger than ourselves. And so that's where the idea of the Put Me In team came from. And we've been super excited to have a lot of talented guys that have played a lot of rugby over our careers, a lot of guys that have played D1, D2, and have been Huns for a long, long time. And all of that experience came together for a huge win in the Open this year.
Yeah, and look, everybody check out my back screen now. This is the group. Big apologies to Biff. So you were the organizer, Biff was the captain. I know if I don't apologize like 2 or 3 times, I'm going to be hearing about it. So I'm sorry, Biff. I made an assumption. My bad. You're the man. Number 7 in your dreams, bitch. But dude, I tell you, I was really thrilled that Huns 2 versus Put Me In was the final. And let's just review just real quick some of these scores. Put Me In undefeated, 31-7 over Hark, 27-5 over Gorilla, 21-17 over the Reds 2. And then you beat Huns 2. Huns 2 beat Hurt, Quins, Hark, and Blacks 2. So the Huns eliminated the Blacks. When we get to it in a minute, the Huns eliminated the Reds and the Blacks in the Premier Division. That's a pretty good day when you beat those two teams, those two clubs. Khalid, any final thoughts on Put Me In on Saturday and Put Me in general?
But before we do that, just kind of thinking about the Huns in general. I had a few conversations with guys from the Blacks, and they were just blown away by us having 5 teams in the competition this weekend, and all 5 of those teams being really competitive. And so for us, it was really special to go out and be able to beat the Reds on our side of the bracket, and then Huns 2 beat the Blacks on their side of the bracket. And then we do have this Huns family feud at the final. It was fun talking trash and beating our brothers, but also respecting the game and making sure that we all fought hard to the end. So again, like super huge thanks to the Huns community for supporting all of us throughout all of these efforts and driving this victory.
We had either 7 or 8 teams in total in the tournament, counting high school, middle school, super social. And folks, Khalid doesn't just talk eloquently and look smart with those professorial glasses. He went to Yale. That is him there on the left tackle. We have 2 Yaleys on our club, and it's kind of blowing the no brain too small for Huns rugby theme from back in my day. But Khalid, all I can say to you right now is we both have Alabama heritage, but War Eagle.
Roll Tide.
All right, we're going to turn the meeting now in the direction of Huns Premier. Candidly against Army, and I didn't see a whole lot of the Blacks match, but it looked like we were going a little bit too much east-west, at least at the beginning of that Army game, not quite enough north-south. We were poised enough to pull it together, and poised enough, quite frankly, to rebound from a pretty convincing loss to the Blacks in pool play. And then you guys put it together against the Reds. Corey, that's no small potatoes. Why don't you talk to us about how the morning went, how you guys rallied, and then without Tay, who is an explosive player, how did we put it together to beat the Blacks in the end?
Yeah. First, glory be to God. I think without him, like we couldn't have accomplished anything from Saturday. But I think it was a big team win. It started with our leaders or our coaches kind of giving me the trust and the responsibility to kind of push the guys in the right direction. With Alec, being a spearhead, and then Van and Justin kind of giving us the critiques from attack and defense and the small details. They just kind of trusted me to then come back and make sure the guys were, hitting their disciplines. And that's something that you will, if you check in with the team, you'll hear a lot about this summer season is being disciplined.
Well, you know what, man? I had a gamut of emotions, especially being so remote. When I was watching this and then I saw the black score, I'm like, Jesus, honey, I guess we're gonna save a couple $1,000 this year. I don't know if I'm going to Madison, Wisconsin. And, and then I'm yelling at the computer after I saw the final score against the Blacks. And she's like, we going to Madison? So it was an up and down day at home. And by the way, thanks to the Huns for trying to stream. That's a remote location. That's a volunteer with an iPad. I really appreciate y'all doing it. But wow, what a great range of emotions. And it's good to have Tay back. As I understand it, we have a banger from the Austin Blacks that came over to play for us, a guy named I. Before I kick it back to Corey, I just want to say this might be the best picture ever of Ricky Dick Dog Chestnutwood holding the trophy. I do want to say his mullet sure seems trimmed kind of tight. I don't think he's got the best mullet on the team anymore. I saw a lot of guys with some pretty serious mullets out there. So Corey, I'd also like you to comment on has Corey or his Dick Dog lost his mullet championship?
I don't know. There's only one person really in the title fight for that. That's Dante. Dante's given a good 1-2 combo right now. But I wouldn't count Ricky out. Just like the Huns, don't count us out just yet. Wait till that final.
You said the Blacks were, or Khalid said the Blacks were blown away by how many teams we fielded and how well we did. In the past, long past maybe, the Blacks were always really surly to us before, during, and after the match. Were they gracious, in defeat, or did they come to the after party? How are the Blacks after all this transpired?
Speaking just from the Premier side, I have a really close and tight relationship with them, especially with Craig, their captain. And when the whole thunderstorm and everything was happening, me and Craig actually had a one-on-one chat while the coaches had a chat. And we just kind of, hey, do you want to wait this out? Do you want to split the points? Do you want to, where's your head at with this? And I mean, we were very cordial, very close guys. And he eventually made the point of, hey, we're not splitting points. Like, one of us is going to come out a winner. And I bet now he's probably thinking I should have split the points. but yeah, no, they're all a great group of guys. So what, the things that happened in the past aren't so necessarily our current future, so much to the fact of, if they weren't going to put a national run this year in sevens, we would have got probably 5 or 6 of those Blacks players on the Hun side, and we would have made essentially an Austin super team than just a Huns team.
Well, man, it would be really cool because everybody's arrogant about East Coast rugby, West Coast rugby. If the Blacks and the Huns both made it to nationals, man, that would be amazing. I mean, I always want to beat them, but that would be an amazing statement for Austin rugby. Anything else you want to add, Khalid, kind of on the tournament? I'm going to ask you both this question, and on the state of the Huns sevens program right now. Khalid, you're up.
Just the tournament in general, we got to give a huge thanks to all the guys that put in all this effort, blood, sweat, and tears behind the scenes to make it happen. Bloodfest has got to be the first or second largest rugby tournament in America. And you see a club like us, where no brain's too small to be a Hun, pull that together. It's super impressive. You've got Doormat, who's 2 days away from having a kid, and Hansel and Ty McGuire pulling all this stuff together in the back end. Like, we can't thank these guys enough for making things happen. And then you've got Wheezy, the janitor, riding around the fields, making sure everything's in order, making sure everybody's got a beer when they need one. So we're super thankful for this club and what everyone does behind the scenes that doesn't get seen and admired on the field when Billy O's watching on the streams.
For anybody that doesn't know, janitor for Wheezy is a term of endearment that he uses, and a huge understatement to how much that guy does to develop and maintain the fields. Corey, you're up.
Yeah, I think as a whole, this was obviously a good win. This was a repeat from last year. Huns Premier won it last year. Hopefully we don't have a complete repeat summer. But yeah, if we're giving shout outs and glory to the people in the back stairs, Edwin stepping in as interim director, and kind of keeping all of the sides in one camp, keeping everybody, make sure they're sipped, make sure, we have all the small things we need. And then, pushing over to the WAG side. I know my miss was in the stands, Ed's miss is in the stands. There's a lot of people that back the Huns, and there's a lot of people that, give up their Saturdays and their weekends and their Tuesday and Thursday nights. And, kind of shout out to them for allowing us to go and be great and, not, bending our ear too much on the back end of it. So,
That's
I think
awesome.
it takes a big Huns family. And when we, mark my words now, when we go to nationals, in Wisconsin, we will have the largest crowd, the most people there, because I think our family and the people that back us will make that trip.
Hey, I already told my wife I changed my mind. I'm going when we make it, so I wouldn't miss it. And Khalid, I'm really glad you brought up Hansel, Doormat, Van Diver. I'm going to read our sponsors in a minute. Huge list of sponsors that Hansel and Van Diver rounded up. All the players setting up everything, tearing it down, all the work that goes into planning this. And Hansel has it streamlined and running like a top. And then he has to go up into the VIP section during the lightning storm and cancel some matches that didn't count for points and reschedule everything. And he told me and shared on the stream today that everybody said this was the best run tournament ever. That wasn't, a few people, that was all the captains of all the teams. And a shout out to the coaches, the players, all those volunteers, and quite frankly, to the 75 to 80 social members that play dues. We're talking shit about Rick Russell and about the weekend on an email stream right now, and just having a hell of a time. And this is what makes the Huns really, really special. So that's a good segue into thanking our sponsors, Austin Beer Works, Kaviva, that's another Yale guy starting his own alternative beverage company that gives you a little bit of buzz but doesn't fail the DUI blow test. The Marie Company, Harold Hoffman, I don't even know how many Huns he's put in houses. Cerberus Security. We've got like 4 wellness and recovery and medical companies: Recover Go, Revive Wellness, EMS, and Dynamic Sports Medicine. Webb Ellis and Rugby Ninja for gear. Big Rack Spirits. Hold the phone, you perverts. They have a set of antlers as their logo. We Are Blood, obviously, because that's how this started, as a blood drive. Of course, Huns Rugby. Vortex, I don't even know what that is, but it sounds cool. Rigby Slack, Old Boys Pat. He doesn't specialize in DUIs, but he's a lawyer and a good old boy Hun. If you get in trouble, we'll give you his number and he can point you in the right direction. And then Life Family Church. I don't know that I've ever seen, unless it's a faith-based club, a church as a sponsor, especially of the Huns. So we must be doing some good works out there. Thank you to all our sponsors. And folks, please patronize these people. They make this possible. All right, you guys know we ask the tough questions here on the Old Cast. That's DeMonte's lip after he got high tackled and he couldn't even play the final. We won anyway. Corey, that's a pretty damn gruesome looking lip, man. You said it was cut front and back all the way through, stitches. Talk about that lip a little bit.
Yeah, DeMonte got hit from a high tackle during the Blacks pool play game. The player was only sent off with a yellow card, and the player that hit him busted the top of his head. So we can't really say there was too much mitigation of dropping down, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Tay had a lower incision here from where his top teeth went through. And then if you could see the inside of his lip, it looked like a firecracker went off. He had to get internal stitches, and then he'll have to get external stitches to sew everything back up. If it would have split all the way through, it'd have been a tough day at the surgery office.
Yikes. I do have a follow-up question though. Can y'all still hear me? Is that a mustache on his upper lip, or is he just a little bit dirty from a day out at the pitch? Corey,
Khalid.
somebody?
It's coming in. You gotta let it grow slowly but surely. Wheezy's gonna cultivate it and let it grow.
He's gonna cultivate it.
All right, my power to you. More power to you, Tay. Guys, I let me hold on. I gotta change the background. I didn't want to look at that too much longer. I spent a little bit of time today, and I'm not going to get every big day in Huns history up there. I'm trying to put in perspective just how incredible Saturday was. I mean, in 1972, our founders, playing as the Golds, but they were the Huns, won the Austin and Houston tournaments. And those were invitationals from all over the country. So that was like the Texas Championship. And in the late 70s, my guys beat the Houston Heathens, who had been, state champs 2 or 3 years in a row. Early 90s, the Huns win the TRU in the open division and head off to Western in Mobile, Alabama. Wheezy's team went undefeated in the 2000s, mid to early 2000s, and won TRU then as a D2 team. Obviously, we won nationals in what was it, 2015, and we finished 5th place in Sevens Nationals in 2001. Those are arguably the biggest days, in my opinion, or some of the biggest days in Huns history across 50 years. I tell you what, 4 teams in the final 6 of the top 3 divisions and winning all 3 championships, beating the Blacks and the Reds to do it. That's a pretty damn good day. Would you agree, Corey?
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. You have to add that to the list.
Khalid, what are your thoughts, brother?
Oh man, it was a great day of rugby all around.
Well, last week or a week before before the Welsh came, which is a couple weeks ago, it rained really hard out at Nixon, and our field is in such good shape. I think that was literally on a Thursday. Blew trees down, flooded everything. We were able to play a match on Saturday, and someone posted this picture of a rainbow over Nixon. And as far as I'm concerned, things are going really good right now. To see our culture so strong after we're rebuilding, to get a new coach and to have him locked in for a few years for 15s, to see everybody rally around and kind of coaching together. I mean, Luke is sort of the head coach, but he's also a player, right? Burkham, am I getting his name right, or is it Alex?
Alec.
Alex Burkham. My point is, guys are coming together, and we're really doing this as a group. As I posted, the Blacks weighed us over the weekend, and it was the Blacks that were found wanting. And that is just a really good feeling for a guy that has been around, and the Blacks have been tough forever. Anytime you beat those guys, it's good. And I just am really excited. I know y'all are excited about the Sevens program going forward right now, and 15s where we're headed. Before we sign off here, I'll go to you first, Khalid. Any final thoughts on Put Me In or on, Huns Rugby and just being a part of that?
Yeah, I'll start off by thanking everybody for supporting Put Me In. If you want to learn more, feel free to follow us on Instagram or LinkedIn or subscribe to our mailing list. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up there. But for me at Put Me In, one of the things that we really strive to do is build community through sports. And I want to give a huge thanks to the Huns, because I found my community here in Austin through the Huns. And so super thankful for all the memories we've made over the last 5 years, and all the trainings, the practices, the road trips, the tournaments. There's just been so many great moments being a Hun, and I'm proud to be a Hun for life.
Well, we're happy to have you. Anytime you can get an Ivy League guy to raise our club IQ a few points on average, that's a good thing, man. Glad you found a home here. I loved what you said. I don't know where I saw it. I think I saw it in your email today that the Huns, I don't know, saved your life or helped make your life, and we save lives every day. Huns literally saved my life. Pat Lockridge, 18, lost, put his arms around my shoulder and saved my life. And here I am. I just had my 50th high school reunion. So 50 years later, I'm as passionate about this as I've ever been. And I'm glad that's your experience too. Corey, you've played all over the world. I think Dallin Stanford once said that you've played more clubs than Elton John. What are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, put me in was club number 66.
How many matches did you play on Saturday?
7.
Wow. Pretty good. You must be in fairly decent shape there, Corey Jones. But go ahead, man. Continue.
Yeah, no, just saying, just with put me in being my 66th club. I don't take any club lightly, and I know that it could all end tomorrow, God willing. But Alex Reese, if you remember Reese, he brought something up to me a couple years ago, and it's something that's really stuck with me. That the Huns is the only club that I could call home. But for years, I've bounced around clubs my entire career. More of a rugby mercenary than a rugby whore, but the Huns is definitely somewhere that I've been able to call home steadily for the last since COVID, the last 5 years, going on 6 years now. I know I took a little small stint with Nav playing summer sevens, but here I come back, back with the Huns.
You got a streak going, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, you've got 3 national championships in a row after a 5th place finish with the Huns. Is that accurate?
That is very accurate. Yes, sir.
Let's make it number 4, brother.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I more than plan on bringing a big national trophy back to Austin, Texas.
I have a serious question for you because, again, I think we showed a little bit of rust. My opinion, no criticism negatively, just early in the day on Saturday. Yes, we won this tournament, but I'm really hoping that y'all can take what was going on in the morning as a learning opportunity to continue to figure out this club style of play and to improve. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I definitely believe that it will. We had 4 guys again in Portugal playing in a professional tournament, cross seas. So that's 4 guys that aren't in the lineup for Lone Star that we have to get adjustments to. There were also a couple of changes just from inside that. So there's probably 6 to 7 guys who are now around new faces. Obviously, we train together, but yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. I think we're still gaining speed. There's a couple of guys that haven't reached Huns grounds yet that are part of the SIP database. That because of flights and because of XYZ, they're still making their way in. So by the time we land in Wisconsin, we would definitely be a team worth rivaled.
Well, guys, congratulations. Thanks for making time so quickly today on the last minute. And Hansel Johansson, I apologize for bugging you with so many texts asking questions while you were at work. And Doormat was copied on that. And he's got probably all his family in town with a baby, but trying to make this content happen to keep the guys fired up. And you know what? I just can't say enough about how proud all us old farts are with you guys. And I'm not talking just premier, I'm talking top to bottom. To have this much interest in sevens and to just be this close as a group, y'all are amazing. Thank you.
And thank you, Billy.
Thanks,
All right,
Bill.
fellas, have a good one. Thanks for making time. Cheers. Huns.